Hello there, thank you for staying with us and welcome to another edition of Channels Beam. I'm Victor Matthias. Now, Web3 is an idea for a new iteration of the World Wide Web which incorporates concepts such as decentralization, blockchain technologies and token-based economics. Now, clearly this will have a strong emphasis on decentralized applications and make extensive use of blockchain-based technologies and also make use of machine learning and artificial intelligence to help empower more intelligent and adaptive applications, especially in businesses. Now, that is going to be our focus today on the show. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of this, let's see what made the trends in the past week.
Serving and past world leaders and diplomats joined members of the royal family for the state funeral service held for Queen Elizabeth II, who will be laid to rest next to her beloved husband after a day full of historic and personal significance. Tens of thousands of people traveled to London and Windsor to watch and pay their last respects to the monarch who reigned for 70 years as she was wheeled during a procession into Westminster Abbey, where she was married and crowned. University students protesting the 7-month industrial action by the Academic Staff Union of Universities on Monday morning blocked a section of the access road to the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. The situation caused gridlock along the axis as the vehicular movement in and out of the airport was stalled. The student had last week blocked the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, which also resulted in a gridlock.
Well, there you go. Those were the trends in the past week. But joining us to look at today's topic, we have with us right here in the Lagos studio, Sam Harvard. He is the founder of LAP, a digital skill university and a fast-growing affiliate network from Africa. He is on a mission to create 5 million jobs in the next 5 years. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, Sam.
Thank you very much, Matthias.
Of course, you're welcome. We also have joining us via Zoom in London, Sam Obodi. He is a cyber security expert. Sam, it's a pleasure to have you as well on the show.
Thank you very much, Victor.
Indeed. So let me have you kickstart this conversation for us. I mean, you know, let's even look at what Web 3.0 is. I mean, there's this noise around it, but you know, when you're even looking at that, what do we mean by that?
Okay, I think you cannot successfully understand what Web 3 is if you do not understand Web 1 and Web 2, all right, because it's a succession. So Web 1 actually is the founder or the foundation of the internet, where everything is content-based and just text-based, so more or less like encyclopedia or Wikipedia on screen, all right? So you just go there to get information on something that you want. There is no interaction. And the real purpose of internet is for connectivity, really, and that is limited. So, but Web 2.0 moved from just text to pictures, then to video, and that's what introduced what we know as social media, with the Facebook, the Google, the YouTube, and all of that. But something interesting happened in that leap from Web 1 to Web 2 is the fact that interaction now began online, and the fact that through machine learning and some other algorithm, they are able to study our behavior. All right, the web developers, different websites are able to study our behaviors and use that to define what we see. And what happens right now is what you are seeing in Lagos is different from what they're seeing in London when they visit the same Facebook, for example. What's on your feed is different from what's on my feed, based on all the information we are fed the internet in the process of interacting with it. Now, that came with a bit of a problem, and that problem is privacy issue. I mean, that's like a summary of the problem. Which now means that most of the things about you are no longer secret. I mean, I could discuss with you about gaming, and the next minute after leaving here, I put on my phone and I'm seeing ads talking about what's it called, PlayStation and what have you and all that. And you're wondering, sometimes you're just having a conversation, and what you're just talking about, the moment you go to social media, you start to see that, and you're wondering, are they monitoring me? Who is checking me around and all?
You know, so, you know, especially now in respect to that, you know, when you check, when you're using apps and you check those, what's it called, terms of agreement, you know, when you check them without reading,
yes,
I think in a way you give them access to your microphone.
Yes, we willingly give those permission, all right? We willingly do that. Even though most of us don't like it, we do that all the time. And that really has been one of the major limitations with Web 2.0. So Web 3.0, which is now the new phase, the future, is solving that problem using what we know as the blockchain technology with machine learning and AI to still be able to give you the best experience for connectivity through the internet, which is what the internet is meant for, but also make sure that your data are protected, which the biggest word about Web3 is actually decentralization, which is no one organization or big tech company controls all the data. You can now own the data you put online, not because one company manages and owns everything. So that's the future we're going into, where you can own the data and the information that you put online, and you can even access the internet with anonymity. All right, you can do different kinds of things.
Which some might think, or which some might say is a problem when you access the internet, anonymously, and you begin to do things that are injurious or harmful to other people.
The interesting thing about human beings is as you solve one problem, another one comes up. So you can never really get out of it.
Yeah. All right, let me quickly bring in Sam, who's joining us as well from London via Zoom. Sam, again, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. But give us another angle or another perspective, as to how AI and even machine learning and artificial intelligence, which is AI, would play a role in Web3.
Sure. I'll start with a definition of artificial intelligence. So AI is essentially the simulation of human intelligence by machines and computers. And when we say machine learning is actually a subset of AI that focuses more on the data and the algorithm side of things, essentially imitating the way we humans do things. So AI leverages computers and machines to mimic our problem-solving abilities. Now, when we talk about Web3, there are three main components. So if we start with the blockchain and the apps and also the protocols. So if you look at AI for the blockchain, AI can add an extra layer of security. What that means is the ability for the AI to go through the data to detect any anomaly detection. This makes it a bit more secure in terms of how we're using the data on the blockchain. And then for the application side of things, look about blockchain gaming. We can use AI to sort of change the scenario of the mood of the game, depending on how the person is feeling. And also from a user perspective, AI helps in personalized marketing. So what that means is understanding your behavior and is giving you content that is relevant to you, which is also quite one of the benefits of also going into Web3. And from the protocol side of things, AI is helping a lot with smart contracts. A lot of contracts that have been automated by AI, and the distributed finance, which is called DeFi. AI is supporting in sort of the data for the transactions, which is being used for that. I guess in summary, the ethos of Web3 is to sort of empower users, giving them control of their data back, and then sort of then with that control and that ownership, we can then decide where and what company owns and use our data.
All right. So, I mean, with all of this that you've reeled out, which one of the things that I raised up with Sam here, again, your namesake in the studio, is the fact that when we're downloading apps and using these apps, we give permissions to all sorts, and sometimes we don't even read the terms of agreement or the terms of use, and by so doing, we willingly give up our data for marketing, like you said, and all of that. But at the same time, while some use it for good, some are waiting, on the dark web to use it for bad purposes, So security-wise now, what should people be doing? Because if you are to read the terms of use, I mean, sometimes you're just eager to download and just go ahead and use the app. So it's a lengthy term of agreement or terms of use. You just go ahead and just say, I agree. What should people be doing differently, as this Web3 is being adopted globally?
Sure, that's a really good question. So first of all, let's go back to the first principles. When we talk about security, once you're introducing technology, there's a risk caveat. So when you're downloading an app, it's very good to understand what options and what availability you're giving to the app. So things like camera, microphone, pictures, and sometimes emails. Once you have an understanding as to what access you're giving to that app, then as a human, you tend to take it a lot more cautious for security. So the first thing would be to read the privacy terms and conditions, because a lot of users don't really take the privacy terms and conditions. Secondly, and there are websites available online where you can go to and check if your accounts have been compromised. So just go on Google and search, have I been pawned, or have my account been compromised? And then you can see where your account has been compromised. And also in things like passwords, you can use a password manager, for example.
Yeah.
And having strong passwords and things like multi-factor authentication. These are things that users can use to make sure that the data has been secured. And just a general sense check. So now and again, Google your name to see what comes up on Google and to make sure the information is right. And any information you think is wrong, you can challenge it and write an email and report to either a information commissioner office.
Okay. I guess those are steps, and I hope people will follow them. But let me hold you there for a bit and bring your namesake back into conversation, Sam, again. So if you're looking at this now from the business perspective, what should businesses be doing? I mean, we understand that this is also going to create like a new job opportunities for people. So you have AI experts, evangelists, you have machine learning experts, and all of that. So, I mean, people like that are going to come up. But, what can these do for businesses? How can businesses key into this as it's been adopted?
Awesome. The interesting thing is that we were late for Web 1.0, we were late for 2.0, but we cannot afford to be late for 3.0. There are people who serve Africa, the entertainment side of the internet. I mean, people create the things that we use. Hardly is there any social media app right now that is made from Africa. I mean, we are consumers. We cannot afford to be consumer now that it's about the birth of the 3.0. And how do we do this? We have to position ourselves as businesses or business owners or even individual to be at the creative end, creating things that will be needed for the Web 3.0. For example, Facebook changed their name to Meta. Why? Because they wanted to be known for more than just social media. They have seen and understood that human interaction is going to move from where it is right now, which is of course what COVID brought to us. Because during COVID, people realized that you can actually live life and interact with people without leaving your space. And that becomes the future that we would have to accept. Now you can do businesses. I do business all over the world without leaving where I live. Most times I do connect. As a matter of fact, every week I do connect with the people across over 14 countries online who trust the things that I'm doing. So every business needs to build themselves up from where they are, the bricks and mortar, the physical interaction, and start to utilize the tools that the Web3 is bringing. Talking about IoT, Internet of Things, or the blockchain of things, understanding how to digitize their business processes and using all the tools that are available. One, you can be a user. Secondly, you can be a creator. And the beginning point of all of this is about learning. First, study, research. All right, that's why big corporations spend billions of dollars on research and development. As businesses, you have to research, what is this Web3 they are talking about? How does it impact my business? We don't have any office with our business, and we run several, turnovers are very huge. And that's because we've understood where the world is going into using the process of the internet, which means human connectivity and interaction. And businesses can study that and apply it to their own business processes, because that's the only way you will win. If not, your story will be worse than Nokia.
Jeez. I hope it doesn't get to that point. But so my own one of my major problems is, like you said, we're not creators, we're consumers. So how do we move from this? How do we change this narrative?
I think the first thing is to start from one person to the other. If I'm seeing a vision about what the future is going to be, and Africa has to be at the forefront of creating and leading the narrative that Web 3.0 is going to bring to the world, where blockchain, AI, machine learning, augmented and virtual realities, I have to tell everyone, and that is one of the things that we do, educating people about digital skills and things that can actually help move them from the normal, we're searching for a job, we're trying to look for a job. We're trying to create 5 million jobs, not sweeping the road, shoemaking kind of job. No, we're talking about tech and things that can actually make us sell Africa, sell Nigeria to the rest of the world using this same platform we're talking about, Web 3.0. So from one person to the other, that's how the fire is going to light. Wow. Whatever you know, just pass it, because the purpose of knowledge really is for you to share it to the next person.
Well, indeed, I hope a lot of people would take that message, and move. But let me hold you there for a bit. We'll take a quick break, and of course, when we come back, we'll get more on the adoption of Web 3.0. That's in a moment. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We still have with us our panelists right here in the Lagos studio, as well as via Zoom from London. And we're looking at the adoption of Web 3.0, the opportunities as well as the challenges that lie therein. Just before we went on the break, Sam, you talked about, how we can move forward. But let's look at the challenges that are in the adoption that people might face, in trying to adopt all of this. What are the likely challenges that could be faced?
All right, the first one would be trust. Every time something new comes up, a lot of people are too slow, not because they don't see the good in it, but because they're just too careful. They're trying to be very careful, so that they would not fall into something they do not understand. People fear change more than anything else. So that's the first thing we're going to see. And another thing are the, what they call these people, these theorists that come, conspiracy theorists, and they link it to, it's the Antichrist, or it is this, it is that, COVID-19. And all of that. You understood what happened during COVID. So we're going to have to fight with all of these things. But I believe that as much as all these things will come up, and truly, like I said, solve a problem, another one comes up. You solve that one, another one comes up. It's also going to come with a lot of issues that needs to be solved. One of them will be anonymity, where people now control the content that they have, even though it could be something that is strong political content or something that is very offensive. But because you now own the right to it, the platform that is hosting some of this content cannot pull it down. Before now, everything you put on the internet stays there, and then the platform where you upload can decide what they want to show or not. But because you own your content now, it means people can use app to create things that are wrong about you and still be able to serve and share it without anybody being able to do something about it. So these are some of the things that most of the technology companies that are going to lead this move, that are already leading this move, are looking into, to make sure that people's safety, all right, is also being protected, and what people are exposed to is also being protected as they go further.
All right, let me get Sam's perspective on this. Sam, looking at challenges and all of that might likely come up when people are using, or when people are trying to adopt Web 3.0. In your perspective, what challenges do you think are going to come up as this is happening?
Sure, I would say the first challenge would be training. Normally when you have a new technology, you're training for the developers, people that will implement it, people that will understand the business use cases. That will sort of be a challenge as well. And then apart from training, it would then be cost, okay? So where do you get the funding to implement some of the solutions? But I'll say from a challenge point of view, the Nigerian government are doing a good job. So far, the CBN in June, they had a e-Naira hackathon, essentially encouraging people in Nigeria to come up with creative ideas on how the e-Naira can be adopted. Also, NITDA, they have the National Blockchain Adoption Strategy. That's currently in draft format, but working hardly for that to be released. And I'll encourage every Nigerian to study that National Blockchain Strategy, Adoption Strategy. In there details the initiatives for blockchain in Nigeria, why blockchain, and the blockchain consortium, and what the government and how they intend to support businesses to use blockchain.
All right, great. So now that's on one part. It's good that NITDA and the CBN, are doing all of these things. But let's look at policy. Like in Europe, you have the GDPR. Similarly, in Nigeria, even in Africa, we have some of these policies and laws. But how effective would you say they are, especially in protecting people, data, of course, and also their privacy?
Sure. So in Nigeria, we have the NDPR, which is the Nigerian version of GDPR. And I would say businesses that are regulated need to comply to the NDPR. But with regulation, it's also how they've been enforced and how they've been checked. So I would say the implementation and how they've been checked is based on the government agencies that are in charge of dealing and checking these regulations. But the regulation does exist and it's been audited.
Indeed. Let's hope that, moving forward, it would bring about the needed result. But Samuel Obodi, thanks as well. Thanks again for joining us on the show today from London via Zoom.
Thank you.
Of course. How do you see the implementation of, like you said, we have the NDPR, policies? I think we have them, but one of the problems is the implementation, which you also rightly said. So what do you think we should be doing differently now that we're moving to this Web 3.0? And again, it comes with a lot of things: IoT, blockchain, smart homes. We're even trying to do a smart city. So there's actually going to be a lot of data that will be out there. But again, privacy would be a big issue. So we have the laws, but implementation seems to be an issue. So what should we be doing differently, especially in terms of implementation?
All right. I think one of the major things to focus on will be communication. The more we talk about these issues, the easier it will be to scale through and above them. Policies can exist, but if it's not well discussed, a lot of people do not even understand the adoption and how they have come to actually navigate the process of migration from one thing you are used to the other thing that, of course, is coming. Now, the good thing is there's a lot of talk that are already going on about this. Even before it becomes the mainstream thing versus what happened with 2.0 or 1.0. So the good thing is the more we talk about them, the easier it will be for people to adopt both policies and how exactly it affects people's privacy and the safety of data. So the more we talk about it, I'm sure, the easier it will be to actually scale through this ordeal.
Well, so we'll keep the conversation going, but for now we have to hold it for a bit. And of course, we'll come back to it some other time and also talk more about it so people get to know and, adopt and see how it helps them. But I have to say thanks to you, Sam Harvard, for joining us today and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you very much.
Of course, you're welcome. And that's where we are. We'll now take the most videos on our YouTube channel in the past week as we wrap the show. Thank you so very much for watching. I'm Victor Matthias. Bye for now.
State people, as a Minister of Transportation, what did you do?
Kicking off this week's top 5 videos is a tirade launched on former River State Governor Rotimi Amechi by his successor, Nyesom Wike, alleging that the former minister no longer has access to Aso Rock.
Even what is supposed to come to us, you block it. But we didn't bother. You think you will not finish as a minister, you have left. And here you can't even enter Villa now. It must not be by my tongue.
Fourth spot is taken by presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, that it's nobody's turn to be the president of Nigeria.
It must not be by connection. Any of the primordial reasons they've used, election next year must be based one on character we can trust.
All the 7 remaining counts.
It is followed by the claim of lawyer to Nnamdi Kanu, Michael Zekame, claiming that 7 remaining charges against his client are dead on arrival.
Are dead on arrival, and they were dead on arrival.
In second, as Chief Security Officer to former military dictator Sani Abacha, Major Hamza Al-Mustafa weeping over the insecurity situation confronting the country.
Asking the national chairman to step down.
While the speech by Governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, adding his voice to the call for the resignation of PDP chairman Iyorchia Ayu, tops this week's charts.
PDP in the southern part of the country will feel included in the top hierarchy of PDP.